Hey guys, what's up? Nate here from Shadow Chronicles and Protoculture, back again here with Sonic Academy. And today I want to check out a really standout plugin from Cableguys called Shaperbox 2. So it's essentially an LFO generator, much like LFO Tool, but with a bunch of really cool features and a whole lot that you can do with this. We're going to take a look at some of these standout features, go over some of the essential GUI functionality, and also just take a look at how it sounds and what you can do with this. Let's dive in and check it out. Cheers. Right, so this is Shaperbox 2 from Cableguys. Now, as you can see, we've got 5 modules here. So this is going to be covering everything from volume, panning, filter, time, and width. You can actually purchase these separately as well, which is a nice touch. And then they've rather handily included quick presets so that you can just immediately get into the sort of most common uses that you do with this. We can just take a listen to that now. Like, so there's the rather typical sidechaining. Panning. We've got filter modulation. The width. And the stutter, which is a nice, or the time-based effects, which is a nice addition as well. You can get some pretty cool sort of glitchy stuff with this as well. Cool. So let's dive into one of the modules. They've all got pretty similar controls. They just vary slightly. Some of them, like this, has got a compressor module. The filter has an envelope follower. So we'll jump into the volume module first and just look at the sort of general operation of this, and we can take it from there and have a look at some of the differences in the other ones and some of the features that I really like about this. So let's. You've got your LFO here that you can kind of draw in shapes. You've got a number of different drawing tools here that you can use to create various different shapes. They can be moved around and draw out the shapes that you want. These can then be saved. If you use these often, you can save these as quick presets down here as well. And then you have some sort of standard or some of their own presets built in there as well. So something like this you'd be using for sidechaining to a kick. These can also be triggered by a MIDI input. And you also have a MIDI trigger here, which will reset the LFO if you route MIDI in from Cubase into this, which is a nice touch as well. So if you're working with stuff that's not exactly 4/4, you can have a sort of ghost track trigger and enable the LFO every single time. One of the things that I really, really like about this sidechain, as opposed to the other ones that I've used before, is this little functionality. When you right click, you have a number of options here. This flip vertical is super, super handy. So I'm going to just show you just a quick usage of how I would do that. Use this. Let's just mute, we'll just mute this first. So I've got a Shaperbox on the baseline that we have there, and then a kick, which I've purposely picked, is just way too long. So you're losing a lot of headroom there. Let's stick a Shaperbox. We've got one on our baseline. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is actually copy this one to our kick drum. We'll just drag that in once we've set up our sidechain there. So now you have the same sidechaining on the kick. And what you can do is you can actually flip the vertical of this to actually cut the kick. And we'll just make sure we don't lose the attack of the kick there. So this kick is actually being shortened at exactly the same time that the bass line is being sidechained. We listen to the difference now. So our kick is really nice and tight now, and everything's fitting together, so you're getting the maximum amount of headroom that you'd want to get out of that, which is a really nice little feature. So let's just take a look at the rest of the controls here. Up at the top here, you've got a LFO mode, so you can unsync this from beat. Let's currently in right now. You have the speed, so basically you'd be working in quarters if you're doing sidechaining. But then if you unlink this and you set this to hertz, you can actually get some really nice ring modulation effects with this as well. Check this out. So that's pretty. This works as well with all the other modules as well. You can kind of almost drive it up into sort of audible modulation rates there as well. Let's get back to our beats. MIDI trigger, as I said, you can turn this on and re-trigger that. The volume mode also has a compressor, or the volume module has a compressor built in as well. That you can dial in. If you can use this just as a standard compressor as well. If you just get rid of the LFO completely. So that's a nice little addition as well. Furthermore, another really cool feature that I've always loved in the Vengeance multi-band sidechain, which you can do in here as well. I actually think I will probably switch to using this a lot more, is the bands can actually be split as well. And you actually have 3 bands. So if we set that one to nothing, we can move this one up, leave that all the way at the top, go to our low band, and we can sidechain just the lows out of the signal. So we can actually leave the tops intact. Which is nice. If you don't want to have too much pumping, you can be sucking the lows out so it won't interfere with the kick, but leaving the tops in place so you don't get that feeling of it pumping too much. So I'm going to jump out of the volume module for a sec. I want to just quickly look at something I really liked with the panning module. So I've had plenty of auto panners available for a while. One thing that I liked about this one, let's grab something like that. And we'll just speed this up a little bit. This actually lets you mix between a auto panner and a Haas effect. So the Haas effect that we have here, when you have this one set to max, it's introducing a Haas effect on with a delay on the left channel, and this one with a delay on the right. But then you can actually move between the left and the right delay. So now it's going to be delaying we'll do that. It'll delay by however many milliseconds on the left channel, and then it'll actually move to the right. It's subtle here with this content that's already got a lot of stereo, but then you can also fade between the two, so you can actually have the auto panner and the delays between the left and the right channels running at exactly the same time. And then obviously here you can set the amount of delay for the Haas. This one also has an envelope follow, which is a nice addition. This is also available in the filter module, which we're going to jump into quickly. So the filter, the envelope generator will actually follow the signal that you're putting in according to the threshold, and modulate the filter like that. Turn the alpha off. Now the filter modulation has a massive amount of filters in it as well, which is really nice. If you open this up, you'll see you've got everything from a bunch of 12 dB, 24 dB, you've got band pass, high pass, low pass, and then you've also got some notch phaser and peak phaser filters, which are a nice addition as well. So you can get some pretty cool phasing effects. And then you also have a separate LFO for the resonance as well. Cool. And then I want to just jump into the time module as well. The width, let's just first just quickly cover this one. The width one is pretty much the same controls that we had in all the other modules as well, except this one just controls sort of stereo width. I don't know how much use I'd have for this, but you can get some nice effects going from sort of mono to stereo. I suppose it would be quite nice in a build-up to have that. What is handy with this as well is that you can use this as a mono maker as well. So because you have these split frequencies, if you check the mono bass here, you can have this one running normal stereo. Actually, probably what you could also do is bring that back and have a lot of stereo enhancing happening, just the highs, but then the bass pull out all your stereo information as well and just keep that completely mono. So that is a really handy tool to have as well. And then lastly, the time module. This is kind of where you can get really nice and experimental. Again, they've got a couple of patterns that you can play with here. But let's just do this in real time and you can see what's happening. So as you're moving it, you can see it slows it down. This one's really effective when you do sort of sharp cuts like this. And then you can also play with the speed as well. So let's take a listen there. Get sort of syncopated notes going in there. And it's really cool just for kind of adding a little bit of extra movement and also for fills. You can check out something like this one. Let's just stick that back onto a bar. Yep, beat on back of one bar. So there you have it. That's just a sort of basic operation. You can see how much you can do with this. It's a really, really nifty little tool. And you can kind of go to town using the split bands, the timing. And then also you can actually layer these on top of one another. You're not sort of limited to using just one. We can actually add side chaining to whatever we're using through the time module. And on top of that, we could be adding potentially a filter maybe. Let's say if we wanted to, let's just do something like that, and you can get it all working together. And each one of these can have independent time signatures as well. So you can go to, let's say, a half for that. This one can be side chaining, and this one can be running at a bar. And let's take a listen. So really, really cool. Lots and lots of possibilities that you can do with this. And then, of course, you've got a ton of presets, rather nicely organized. You can see exactly what each one is using, like this, for example, using all 5 modules at the same time. So that's just like a brief look at what is possible with this. I highly recommend you pick this up. I think this is something that's going to be working its way into a lot more of my projects as well. I was super impressed with this. And yeah, just really nice, modern, clean interface as opposed to some of the stuff that's available at the moment. I really feel this is kind of the next step in this kind of plugin, you know, like multiband sidechain or LFO tool. So if you're in the market for something like that, I highly recommend you check this out from Cableguys. Cool. Thanks, guys. I will catch you again soon. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you soon here at Sonic Academy. Cheers.
Thanks everybody for watching, commenting and indeed liking. We really do appreciate all the support we get here on our Sonic Academy YouTube channel. So if you found this video super useful, please, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button. We update the YouTube channel every week with new content, and if you want to watch some more relevant content, just click on the videos beside me.